Welcome, welcome. Hello, everybody. Hello, you guys. Listen to me. I am so excited because I have got a special interview here. I don't get a lot of dudes. I mean, I'm trying to get more dudes, but what happened? I've got Todd on the line with me. I'm so thankful that he stopped. We had some problems getting together on my end because I had some glitches. And so he was so gracious and he's so, I'm very thankful that he has carved out time to talk to all of us about what's going on. Todd, thank you so much for being with me right now and talking to all of us right now.
You're more than welcome. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, let me just tell you guys that I was scrolling through Facebook and I saw a post from Todd, and it absolutely blew me away. And I said, the world has got to hear this message. We've got to what the heck, So Todd, take us back before Code Red. Explain to us what your life was like and what happened and how you transitioned and now what's going on. But take us back before Code Red and kind of explain to all of us what was going on.
Okay, well, let me go back quite a ways. I think I have 4 daughters and 1 son, and I think my daughters would describe me as being a vanilla, pretty boring, pretty plain. I'm 60 years old. I've lived in the same house for 60 years that I grew up in. I never I would have considered myself never overweight. I played basketball till I was 30 years old, was very involved, worked, was raised on a dairy farm, worked on a farm, continued to until that time when we sold the dairy. I was involved in a tractor accident at that time, crushing my left foot and ankle. And so the doctors at that time warned me, this is a weight-bearing injury. And so you won't be as mobile and as active as you have been. And it took quite a while, but I recovered from it pretty well. They were right. I never played, but I was ready. I should never played sports much after that, but didn't really start to gained weight slowly, for the next 30 years, kind of, until, let's see, that was, anyway, in 1990, believe it or not, I was involved in another farming accident, in a bale wagon colliding with a cop car. And, among other things, really injured that same left leg again. And the doctors at that time thought that I would be wearing a shoe with built-in brace and would probably limp severely the rest of my life. And that took even longer, I'd say a couple of years, to recover from. I'm not completely 100%, but still work hard on the farm. Always worked off the farm too at a rough cut sawmill that's requires you to be very active. And so, but again, they warned me, this is a weight-bearing injury. You've got to keep the weight off because everything's going to be hard, as you put weight on joints, on the knees, hips, because I'm not straight completely. And so it wore out my left hip over the next 10 years. But that's when the weight started coming on gradually. And I continued to think, well, I'm okay. But pretty soon I realized I'm not okay, another 10 pounds, another 10. And I was well over 300 pounds when it finally, last June. And my wife, I had never dieted. I had never exercised much after 30 years old. Just, thought I was active and that was all I needed. That's all I did, but my wife, anyway, I after 2 jobs, then I, believe it or not, pulled draft horses competitively for a hobby. I should golf or something, but we work these draft horses like athletes. We feed them and take care of them better than we do ourselves, and train them. We make sure they get the proper feed, the grain, the minerals, the vitamins that they need. We train them almost 5-6 days a week, and they're in tip-top shape. And we travel around, have a lot of fun doing it. But I thought, here I am putting these horses through this kind of a regimen, and all I am is eating cheeseburgers, when we're while we're waiting there, and getting bigger and bigger. And it's in the rules that you have to ride the pulling sled or the boat, and so your weight is not counted. And I'm weighing twice as much as a lot of the other pullers, but we had some extra time at one of the pools, and we got to messing around. And so granted, we were stepping on the scales, laughing, friends and my brother and son, and I was by far the heaviest one, and well over 300 pounds, and it was, I was stiff and sore, and then I'd ride home a couple hours, and I could barely get out of the truck. But and that was kind of a wake-up call that last June. And at about that same time, we heard, my wife was the one that started it, Conra. She's a postmaster at the Postal Service, and she has some friends where she's at in Utah, actually. We're right in the corner of southeast Idaho. And that had said, and on the way home from that pulling match, when I said, I can't believe I've got to do something. What am I going to do? And she goes, well, I have a friend that has told me about Code Red. And she goes, it's called Code Red. And that I remember that was the 22nd of June that we was riding home, and we discussed it. So that next week, just like this, I watched all your YouTube videos, started watching it, and as did my wife, Connor. And I thought, this is not a diet. This is, because I always said, I'm not going to starve. I got to eat. And I says, I think this is something I can do. And she thought, well, no, there's nothing that, she didn't think I could do a diet. And she's a professional dieter. She calls herself all of her life. Every diet imaginable known, she knows it. She's tried it. Literally thousands of dollars, she says, spent on it. And has had a lot of success, but it always comes right back, up, down, up, down. And anyway, we started looking into this, and I thought, this is something we can do, and that I can do with you. And so we begin slowly that last week of June transitioning into it. And so we say we officially started the 1st of July. And then she joined the 10-pound takedown challenge maybe in the middle of the month, and we by then we knew we were this was definitely onto something, because we seen immediate success as far as dropping some weight fast. And so she joined that, and we've just slowly learned. She is a very good cook. Excellent at cinnamon rolls and cookies and cakes and all of that stuff on the not food list, as well as others. And she has since then become really, really good at all Code Red things. Makes wonderful. The group of ladies that work in the surrounding area in Garden City, Utah, there's probably 7 or 8 of them now. They get together about once a month, and they all bring something they've made new or something they really like, and then they bring it home to me, and I get to try each one. But they've all become very good at cooking from the Code Red cookbook, and the recipes in there.
So when you were tipping this is just remarkable, Todd. So when you were tipping the scale, said right around 300 pounds, your doctor, your practitioner was saying to you, hey, you really shouldn't gain any weight, but were you having any medical problems because of this weight?
I was. I didn't think I would. My leg and injuries came around very slowly, but that was in the second one was in 2008. So in that following 10 years, I wore out because I don't walk exactly straight. My hip began to wear out, and I ended up having a total hip replacement a couple of years ago. And that was, when they said, well, I went in and began to go through that process, and they says, we can't do you. My blood pressure was terrible, very, very. In fact, I even went at one time for another issue, and they wouldn't let me leave the hospital till it come down. It was that close. You're a ticking time bomb with your blood pressure. Basically, that was the biggest problem that I knew of. And so they put me on 3 different kinds of blood pressure medication to get it down so I could have that surgery. And after that hip replacement, didn't get much better with the weight, just kept coming on. And, I'd 280, 285, it seemed like I'd be there, and didn't weigh very regularly at all. And I'm sitting there, where did the 290s go? I didn't even hit, I jumped right over them. I'm in the 302 pounds now, And the day we got messing around on the scales at the pool match, I hit 316. Now, granted, we were dressed, we had shoes on, so I think I was 5 or 6 pounds under that maybe. But I did. At that time, I was on that blood pressure medication, and and the doctors had kind of, we told you, I think. In 2008, I was about 250, somewhere around there. And, that's when they really warned me that on this kind of an injury, you're going to be sitting around eating and not as active. And they were right. My knees hurt, my hips would kill me. Just my feet. And here I am, with the injured foot, and I'm just putting on more and more weight on it. And at the same time, feeling my horses, we get down in those matches at 1,000 pounds at a time in a round until then when we can go to 500 or 300 pounds. And so 300 pounds makes a difference between, 20 feet and 27 feet sometimes. Here I am, I'm 150 pounds more than most of the other drivers, a lot of them. And, but I can control these horses, their diet, their workout, their shape, and everything they eat. But yet I'm completely out of control.
You weren't connecting the dots, but you did start connecting the dots, and you started saying, hey, something's gotta give here. I can't keep doing this, and I don't feel real good. But you felt crappy for so long, you didn't know what feeling good felt like. So you joined the challenge, you switched your diet to meat, vegetables, nuts, eggs, seeds, seafoods, and fat, and you got off the crap that was causing you to have high blood sugar, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, all the stuff that we want to avoid. And you start feeling better. And as of today, how much are you down?
I weighed in for my thing at 226 for my exam. I had a 10-year life insurance policy that expired, and so we had to redo that. So we had to go through that again. And before, the lady says, I don't think they'll accept you over 255. And I said, well, I'm 280 pounds then. And I don't know why they did, but they did, because everything else was pretty good. But anyway, when she came and she took blood and weighed me, I was 226. But two weeks, or about 2 to 3 weeks after the first of last July, my wife had started the challenge. Her sister was watching us pretty closely, and she goes, but do you really notice, anything? I says, in 2 weeks, my knees felt better, my joints, I can't believe this. And she struggles with the same hips and knees as well. She goes, really, in 2 weeks? I says, I've a little bit of weight, some weight, but the main thing is I can already tell my knees and that part of it just continued to get better. That's my biggest I guess in it in
NSV, yeah, non-scale
USP,
victory. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I'm sure that
was
with the weight is way down on the list compared to all the pain you are free from now.
it's exactly right. uh, my knees, but everything, even my hands, they were full of inflammation everywhere that it's just funny. I move faster, I walk faster. I mean, like I said, I I climb on haystacks in and out of tractors and forklifts, and I feel so much younger, nimble, doing all of that. But yeah, in no time, that was a big difference.
What was a big shocker? Was it a pretty big shocker to you that we were eating eggs and bacon and steak and asparagus and butter and salt? Was that a pretty big shocker to you that we were like, I'm
That,
losing weight eating all this good food?
that's the part that I didn't believe when we started, because I says, this is stuff I like anyway. That's my problem. I like all food. and
Sure.
and I thought, but this is not like coming home and eating, little piece of a chicken breast and starvation diet, I would call it, is what my wife would do. And I says, I can do this. We were also amazed within that 2 or 3 weeks time, I'm thinking there's no way I can go to 2 meals a day. And when we were eating the proper fats, and how easy that was for me, and because I didn't think that was something, I could never do that. But now we're on a pretty good schedule where we both eat together. Uh, and it's just worked out really well, the food and everything. And the other thing is, she has made cinnamon rolls and things like that we don't eat anymore, cookies, to take somewhere, to give to someone. And that was the other thing. I thought I would be, this is going to be hard. This is going to be my hard, as you say. It's all hard. And yet we have found it all easy. I mean, I've sat right there by a big old tray of cinnamon rolls, and I really wasn't even that tempted, let alone just thought I was going to break and go. I've never felt that. And we just both love it and excited so much. We've even talked about the custom program. I wanted her to get one in November. I think you should do this. And we thought, we're 60 years old. We're not going to do anything different for the next 20, are we? We're going to do this, right? And so we're more the turtle in the race, I guess, now, as far as the weight coming, because it has stalled and slowed down. But man, the first 3-4 months was just unbelievable. And within a month's time, as I said, my sister-in-law, Cristy, also, she could see the difference. And man, I think she joined the August challenge or something, and she's done really well too. And it's just had a little bit of a ripple effect in our family.
Yeah.
It's just amazing but mostly how we feel.
It's definitely on Code Red. We measure. We have a lot of ways to measure success, and in your case, the like I said earlier, the scale weight is just one of many things that have changed. So if the scale is slowing down, definitely there are still other things that are taking place in your body. The healing that is taking place. So your increased energy, your increased productivity, your mood. I'm sure your marriage has improved just because you guys are not crabby with each other like we all feel when we're on the sugar. Oh, this is remarkable. Did you have a hard time trusting me at first when you first I mean, I know you had to do your research. You had to watch the videos. That's why I have so much of that out there so people can, but once you were convinced, you were like, I know Cristy knows what she's talking about. Did you have a hard time trusting me?
I thought I was going to when we did that initial research, and we thought we're going to do this, and she, uh, but it was easy, and let me tell you, I was a sugar candy addict, like crazy. It just so happened we had a bunch of small bales of hay to haul at about the time we started, right at the 4th of July. And I thought, I'm planning this when my son's coming home and I'm going to have some help. And he come home for about a half a day, and then they went camping, wow, can't believe on the 4th of July I can get him to work, And I started feeling that detox in. And that was one thing that we didn't really believe or look into or pay much attention to. Well, fortunately, I was working trying to haul that hay, and because I thought I had the flu. Wow, I was terrible for a week. So I never connected that to the diet. I did the as far as the lifestyle, but I didn't think it was I didn't know it was the detox. I thought it was. I thought I had the flu on the 4th of July. And yeah, I thought I was going to die that week. But
It's nasty, isn't
but
it?
yeah, overall, I didn't have. We just seen so much good and success right from day one that we didn't have too much of a trust issue, either one of us. And every day that went by, we just was more and more on board with it, to where it was really quite easy, I would say. you know.
You
And
know,
now I say that knowing that without my wife, as she said in the post, he began eating what I ate, and that's 100% true. She, I haven't joined any challenge. I call myself a freeloader. I'm just doing what she does, and it works.
well, iron sharpens iron, and in this case, this is a really great. It is so much easier to do this when your spouse is on board and when you guys are a team and everybody's pulling for the same reason and same cause. I'm really hoping that there'll be. I mean, Todd, you are a man's man. I mean, it just doesn't get any more manly than you. And so, for the man's man watching this right now, which I'm hoping we get a lot, what would you say to people who are like, "Oh, I don't know"? I mean, you were in denial for so long, and finally it just hit you in the face, and you're like, I can't turn this down. And I know there are going to be some men watching this right now that just don't believe it or don't think they can, or oh, that's just that crazy lady with the blue head. What would you say to the people, to the men watching right now who were in your spot, or maybe they're doubting the process, or
Well, I have had that. I've got 2 brothers. I've got a real close friend. I'm an old dairyman from years ago. I have a brother now that is a dairyman. He goes, "You can't drink milk?" There's no way. Bread and milk, that's what I live on. And I says, that's what I thought too. But I said, you can do it. It's so easy. I tried to convince them, that with what we do get to eat, it is so good. And that's another thing that we weren't expecting was how our taste buds, once we got rid of that sugar and everything, came alive. And foods were so much more palatable than, I like tomatoes, but I thought not really. But now we just love them. Vegetables, all kinds of things just really taste different, come alive. And I just know that any man, anybody can, with what there is to eat. We tell people we eat good. We go out to restaurants with my brothers, and and they see what I eat, and it's pretty much the same thing except no baked potato. And
right.
yeah, I tell them, other men and guys, I've shared it with several, I don't know, and they're really interested. One that was a diabetic, and he really checked into it with me. I'm not sure how he's done, but I tried to tell him we eat, and we eat good. We do not starve, and that's what most men, I think, are afraid of, is that I would come home and eat at noon just because it was lunchtime, and I think a lot of men do that, thinking we still got another half a shift to go here, and 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 I think we're afraid of being hungry.
Well, they don't know what they don't know. Certainly, we've all been brainwashed into believing a lie about things, and you were taught this in school, and so was I, and this is just what we were all just brainwashed into believing. And so for you to come on here and share your story, I know will inspire people all over the world that they can do it too. Because you just said, I'm a self-proclaimed sugar addict. I mean, come on, if I had a spouse that was making cinnamon rolls the size of my baby's head, I mean, come on, those were so good, and you gave them up for the sake of your health. And that doesn't mean you have to give them up the rest of your life. It just means while we're taking your health in order, we choose foods that heal. And that's certainly what you did, Todd.
Yeah. And another thing that's made us as happy as well is one of the first people after my sister-in-law come on is my youngest daughter. She lives in Boston at the time, now in Maine. Had been trying to has MS. She's had one pregnancy and they just wanted one more, and she was overweight. She started, and she only had so many chances before she has to go back on her medication, strong medication, to become pregnant. And they hadn't been able to do it for several times, and then they have to be on it for so long and then off to try again. And she lost about 35 pounds before becoming pregnant on her very last shot. And
Todd,
we attribute that totally to the Code Red lifestyle. And she's not and her husband started doing it with her, and we seen a lady from back there, her amazing story. I can't even remember her name, but anyway, she was a coworker of his. She said on there, he's reached his goal, and they've just really done well. They're as happy as well with their pregnancy, and I just don't think that would have happened without it. Her losing that 35 pounds first.
Well, don't underestimate your ripple effect, Todd. I mean, you and your wife have spread this message, and people are watching you, and they're being healed because of you. So this is wonderful news, and I just can't thank you enough for coming on here and sharing your story with all of us, and inspiring so many people to take the chance and do this too. Thank you so much for being on here.
No, I thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Todd started with a 10-pound takedown. You can go to 10poundtakedown.com and join our next challenge. Todd, thank you, and you guys will see you soon.